Good morning, everybody. So let's get started here. Let me just drop this link in a couple different spots and then we'll get ready to go. Trying to start these at 8:30, but today was really wonky, to say the least. Just getting things off the ground. So what we'll do is just we'll get started here and then we'll go from there. Okay, and bear with me 1 second. All right. So let me just drop this link in. Everything's running a little slow today. It's getting kind of annoying. Let's just get back up on this wagon and get started from there on. And now we're good. All right, so we're online. Good morning. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think you got to look. If you're ever going to hold puts overnight, it was yesterday. I held some. I mean, I didn't go crazy. Some of them are going to work. Some of them are not. That's the game. I have some BJ puts. They're not working. Some KSS puts. They're working. I own some NVIDIA puts. I own some Tesla puts. But so they're kind of working. I mean, you got to see what's going on. I think the more troubling thing that I would say about your comment is just this is not a huge gap down. So this is putting us in actually a worse position by not just gapping down dramatically. And I would rather just gap down completely, and get it over with. And we're just not doing that. So that actually makes it worse than what we're dealing with right now. And that's really what you kind of have to focus on, right? You kind of have to take a look at it from that way. And that's kind of where my head is. So I would be really careful of thinking that you missed shorting here. So I'm not so sure that you did. I think you can still look at that off the open and kind of go from there. So that's kind of how I look at it anyway. But let me just get this out on the Twitterverse, and then we're good. All right, cool. So that's what I would focus on. I mean, just take a look at what's going on out there. Let's just go through it. Like Coca-Cola, you're taking out a lower low today. I mean, Coke doesn't move like this. So I actually think there could be a really huge downside move coming because to me, this is people just saying, get me out of everything. And, that would mean that energy is going to get hit. It would mean everything's going to get hit is how this is shaping up. Like, this is not good. This channel was pretty clear, and I put that in the newsletter. If you don't get the newsletter, make sure you do. But right in that channel, I thought we might actually pop out of it. And then, no, we just stayed in that channel. So, to me, this channel is telling you you're going to 378, and then maybe you could bounce up again. But there is nothing to do. And this is we're completely broken. So you just kind of have to let it do what it's going to do. I do want to go through this. Cisco's down and you're bouncing up. I don't care that it's bouncing up. I mean, you just came out with negative quarterly growth. To think that this is going to stay down is just not, or stay up is just not realistic. If you go and take a look at what's going on here, if you look at the quarters overall, yeah, you've had some down quarters and then you've bounced, but you've never had anything where you've had negative growth this year, where you're coming out saying we're going to grow negatively. So I would expect a lot of people to be dumping that. And I certainly know I will. Now, in regards to NVIDIA, being short this, I'm fine with it. So I don't see how you're not getting back down to 155. I just don't see how that's not going to happen. So something to think about there as well. But watch what's going on out there, because I'm not so sure this is over. I'm not so, maybe you have some bright spots like, the BJs, because people thought that it was going to miss, including myself, and you're kind of hanging in there, but I'm not so sure you missed anything yet. I'm really not. I think that there's still a ton of opportunity to short out there. Yeah, you're welcome. Do I see anything like super nasty? I mean, I think that it's interesting that you have people resigning at Kohl's. The nastiest things that I see out there are things like this. The fact that Coke moved like this is troubling. The fact that Procter & Gamble moved like that is very troubling, because that's not a one-day event. That is, get me the heck out. Like, here, take a look at this. So that is just not even this. This is just selling. Nobody's buying. So what is Procter & Gamble going to do if I get a day like this, right? That would be my concern with it. So, I don't know the last time Procter & Gamble even moved like this. So when you see outsized moves like that, you need to pay attention. I mean, even if you go out there and take a look at like earnings, okay, and you have like a bad earnings quarter, I mean, you have nothing remotely like this. Maybe you had something like this back here, maybe, right? You'd have to drill all the way back into that to see. We can take a look and see if we have like one day like that back here. I mean, this looks like it would be the juiciest one of all of them, right? Let's do it from top to bottom. Yep. So that day you had an 11% day. So, I mean, and then besides that, I can't even tell you when the last time you had a day like that on Procter & Gamble was, right? I mean, there's nothing even close to it going through this, like not even close. So I'm telling you, I would be really concerned about when I see things like this, because you're telling me that you're throwing the safety out the window. You're telling me the soap companies and the shampoo companies, we can't own those anymore. That's troubling to me, right? I mean, like, that's not a good thing. And that would definitely make me concerned, point blank. So just keep that in mind. Good morning. So, yeah, but I would be looking at Procter & Gamble, Coke. I mean, I know they're not sexy and people don't want to hear that, but I'd be watching that. I'd be watching anything in the XLY. Target had one day of selling. Usually these are 2-day events. So what I would do with Target is just watch this doji, because this doji is going to go one of two ways. Now, most likely when you're sitting here, you might rally up and then fail. And that's what I think might happen with this. If this rallies up, you might want to look at putting that on. If this gets really bad, energy will collapse next if this gets bad. So that's what we have to see. So far, energy held. But if I had to say where I would be or what I would be looking at shorting, I think Cisco's just an outright short. They have a lot of problems. That's going to get ugly. So, I don't see any reason why you're not getting down to 35, 34. There's just no reason you're not getting back down to this level. You're not going to like remarkably just bounce up on this. So any rally, I'll be looking at adding to the short. Go from there. So, that's it. There's a lot of names out there. Good morning. So ANF, AZO. So ANF, let's go through them. These kinds of names, they're toast. They're just done. You might get the bounce in some of these names like PLCE, right? You might get a bounce in something like this. You might get a bounce in ANF. But if you just have a just outright short position in any of these names and your thesis is, I'm just going to stay short until I, take one of these this high out, I just don't see how you're losing money. I really don't. Like, they're just going to keep collapsing. The fact that you just broke this yesterday is everything, right? And you're just going to see this across the board in all these names. So retail's done. Look, this is telling you very clearly, 50-day, 50-day, 50-day. This is telling you very clearly retail is done. Very clearly. So just keep that in mind, and that would be my focal point on what I'd be looking at. I don't see any reason to assume that this is going to change. Any reason. You could probably short retail and go away. Look, I'll just going to tell you this. My opinion of this market is you're in a recession right now. The layoffs are starting. Retail's blowing up because people aren't shopping. The only ones that seem to be working are the bulk companies. These are all signs that negative growth on a revenue front. Let it trade up, like something like this. Like, let it trade up. I shorted it yesterday at 40. I'm not even remotely concerned about it. Could care less, because there's no way that people are going to. You might get your short cover, but there's no way people are going to buy that. I mean, you're going to buy a company that's growing at negative growth right now. Okay. Let me know how that goes in 2-3 months. It's not going to go well in a couple months. So if I have to wait a couple months or wait a couple weeks, that's fine. AutoZone, these kinds of stocks, they usually do well in recession, but yeah, that's telling you there's an issue there. So when you break these 50s for the first time, what I would be doing is I'd be looking for any kind of bounce, and then you can short that. But yeah, that looks like it's going to be disastrous going into earnings. And this was last earnings. So you don't have people fixing up cars the same way. If you kind of take a look at the earnings, right, they're kind of all over the place. But you're not going to have people fixing up cars the same way to sell them. So the parts that they're going to be buying, they're going to need less parts. If you're going to need less parts because you're not going to the zone, right, then you're going to have an issue. That's how. So yeah, I think they're both shorts, Cameron. But you have to look out long term. What's going on, Objective? I don't know. Like to me, I don't know how to plan that, right? So I don't know how you would make money off that, like what you're saying. So in other words, you're going to predict. These are notes from the newsletter last night. If you don't get the newsletter, I will drop that link. I wish I could drop links, right in here, but it doesn't seem like they're gonna let me. Let me just see if I can find that link and do it while I'm thinking about it. But there we go. I think I got them. Just for the newsletter, like people ask me all the time in comments. If you see the writing, that's from the newsletters. So, and there's a free version of the newsletter in the link description that I'm going to put in right now so that it's there. So that when I tell people it's actually there, it's actually there. Okay. So, and let's just keep going. But I think that, I don't know that you want to play things like that close to the vest where you're saying like, how can I put this? I don't think you would play that close to the vest where you're saying, oh, we're going to bounce, we're going to do this. Here's how I would do it, right? And this is how I would look at it. And this is what I was trying to get yesterday. See how you have this trajectory here, you have this trajectory here. Let's get rid of this. See how these lines are coming down, right? So this is getting steeper and steeper. Well, there's only really one pattern left, right? And that pattern looks like, I'll just do it this way to just get the point across. Okay, that's the only pattern left. I mean, the steepness of this angle is setting up for this to cut perpendicularly and go to a 90 degrees. I mean, there's nothing left. So when you start getting angled like this and you start coming down to these levels, right, you're going to get to a point where you're going to have some kind of bounce or put in some kind of bottom, but you are setting up for a waterfall event before then. So what I tend to do is take a look at this break, right? I'll look at, say, this is a left shoulder, this is a right shoulder, this is a head. From the head down to the neckline, I have 14%, okay? So then I can go, well, that's 14%, and I broke the neckline. If I come here and I drop this and I make this 14%, right? So that would tell me that I could get to about 270. So could you get to 270? Yes, this is telling you that that's where you're going, right? So if you think about it from an equal and opposite force, that's pretty much just simple math. That's how I would look at it. Whether or not we get there by doing this, right? I have no idea. Like, I don't know what news is coming out tomorrow. Is the war going to end? Is the war going to accelerate? I have no idea. Are we going to find more wheat somewhere? Are we going to find another supply of oil? Like, there's so many things that we're not doing. Is the consumer going to start spending money? Our housing price is going to, like, there's so many moving parts to this right now. I wouldn't look at it that way. I would look at it and say, okay, this is where we're at right now. There's zero support here. And my first target is 270. So knowing that that's where my target is, and this is where I closed, I would just go it this way and go, I have at least 5 to 6% of downside still before I could have a bounce again. And, now you're going to hit the bottom of this channel, right? So let's get rid of all this that I have driven here and let's go look at it this way, right? And go, well, there's a channel right here. Let's just draw it, right? And give you the larger one, right? Right. So there's a channel right here. And then what you could do is you could draw this channel down and then go, well, that's where the channel is. So where could we go on that channel right now and still be in the channel because we've been unable to break it? And that puts us right at 272. And by the time you get down to that line, it puts you right at that 270. So that's kind of how I come up with a target price, like that, thinking about it that way. Whether or not objective we do this, I have no idea. That's the most likely pattern, but doesn't mean it's going to happen. I would be really concerned after seeing what I saw yesterday on these moves with Coke and Procter & Gamble dropping like that. That would concern me a heck of a lot to not have stops in right now. HRB for gap fill below. Let's take a look. I don't know why you're up this much. I mean, I think they had good earnings, right? I don't see how anything is safe right now. I'm not saying that you can't bounce. I'm not saying that I'm not going to lose money in some shorts this morning. I am on like BJ's, but the other shorts I have outstanding. I mean, it's really very clear what's going on out there. I don't see how anything is safe here. Anything. I mean, even these names that I bought where I put them away and I'm just picking at them, they're kind of holding in here. Like I bought some Goldman, they're holding. How someone is going to hold this profit, with what's going on right now, to me, I don't see it. So how would I gap fill? Well, there's no real gap, right? So let's take a look at this data and what you would need. You need to use 35 as a stop. And to see the chart actually broken, you need to break 32, right? 32.19. So what I might do is I might look at that a little bit differently. I might say, I hope we stay in this range today and you give me a little doji. And then after, right? Because you see this doji that you have in here, right? And that's yesterday. So now I have this. So you can kind of get where I'm going with this, right? So now I have that. So now I could say, well, if I break, look at my numbers here so you can understand this trade. So this is where we were thinking it's going to roll. It wasn't time to put the trade on. You see where you're at now? 33.02, 33.99. So now if I break 33 off the open, I could use 34 as a stop and just get out of the way, right? Meanwhile, that could drop, right? That could definitely fill in more down this way. Absolutely. So, it's actually trading like somebody's going to buy the darn thing, the way that the way it moves, but that's just earnings. I mean, it's just constant buying. But then you can see how the wicks start telling you a different story as far as people, legging into that. How's Twitter holding up while we're talking about companies being bought? Yeah, that's just not going well, is it? So let's take a look at Tesla. Good morning, Emily. What's going on, Debazian? Hey, right. All right, let's take a look at Tesla. See what's going on there. I mean, let me just preface this. I'm short, right? I'm short the stock. So let me just preface that. I don't see how you're not breaking this off the open. And I don't see how this is going to hold. I really don't. So, I mean, I'm just going to lay this out so that you kind of get it. If you were to take a look at the earnings, maybe they'll put this data in now. Man, the bugs on this system lately are crazy. see where you're at right here? I just don't see how you're holding there. I really don't. I just don't see how that's going to remarkably hold. If you come out here and you start going $3, $3, a dollar, 90 cents, 80 cents, 76 cents, is the company growing? Yeah, the company's growing. Okay, let's say that you're going to earn 12 bucks. Let's say you're going to earn $20 next year. You're at 700. Okay, you're still at 40 times or next year's earnings. This is not realistic. If we're going to go back to a GARP model, which is what we look like we're going to do, right? Which is growth at reasonable prices, meaning you want to buy stocks that have price earning multiples that are lower than a growth rate, right? That's GARP, growth at a reasonable price. You do not have that yet on Tesla. So I think names like Tesla could come in. I think names like NVIDIA could come in even more. Here, look, let me show you why. So if you're focused on something like Tesla, right, and NVIDIA, and you just go out there and focus on their numbers, and you go out there and go dollar, right? See, $4. Let's just say we're going to do 100% revenue growth next year, which we're not, but let's say we are on something like NVIDIA. You're at $8. Okay, you're at $8 times a $170 stock. You see where I'm going with this? So that multiple, that's what you need. You need 100% growth to own that stock where you're at right now at a 20 PE. So, and that's not how you trade, but that's how people are going to evaluate these companies. So whether you go down today or you don't go down today, I don't see how this is, going to stay down. One of the things we've been talking about since this all began was just that level. And now you have that level down here, right? So to me, I would be really careful. Look, there's no way you're getting through this without a couple things happening, okay? Apple's going to blow up, right? That's becoming increasingly clear. Looks like Michael Berry's going to be right there. Microsoft is going to get smoked, okay? Whether or not they bounce today or don't bounce today, it doesn't matter to me. But Apple's going to get smoked. Microsoft's going to get smoked. Tesla's going to get smoked. You have to crush everything to get thrown out. And that's even my concern now with like looking at these names, energy. So to get back to your long-winded question or my long-winded answer, I don't know how you're buying this here. To me, I would be short. If it bounces, I would be short. The only thing that this is doing on the way down is giving you peaks, which is really what you want. So now 787, if you go over 787, let me just double check that. Yep. So if you're getting over 787, now you've broken the high of this H, so maybe you can go higher. But this has a tremendous amount of work to do, like tremendous. So keep that in mind. I don't see a lot of people rushing in to own that name right now. What's going on, Carson? Hey, Carlos. ENPH. Good morning. So let's get to it. ENPH. Yeah, you're down about $1. I mean, like you would think, here's the rub with these kinds of names. If this government and the policies, and they ever get it together, and they get rid of the tariffs that they have on solar energy, which is insane for someone that says that they're green energy policy. If they do that, these things are going to go up. And so there is this underlying reason for them to go higher. Now, that wedge line would concern me, and then I would just kind of see if I could clone that and see if I could find it somewhere else. And we kind of find it right there, don't we? So I'm in a trend, and I don't see any reason to do anything except look for a reversal. So what I would be doing is I would be looking at this and saying, well, I don't really have a gravestone. I have a shooting star coming down. And these kinds of bars you really have to be careful of. So like if I broke 156.17, right? See, we're at 156.17. Then I'd start going, I need to watch 154.20, which is right here. And then you look at where you're at right now. So if you break that, yeah, this could just free fall back down to this area, get back down to 120s. So, and I think that that's really where your head needs to be. Your head needs to be on this stuff's probably going to come in more. I don't see any reason why, like if you look at names like this, left shoulder, right shoulder, head, I don't know how you could be looking at this and thinking that this is going to go up. I don't know, I'm just talking. I just don't see it. So keep that in mind. It's not something I'm going to do. What's going on, Kratic? Your thoughts on cost short? The only reason I wouldn't be short cost, right, is the fact that I just dropped. Look at this. The fact that I just dropped $40, right? And I'm bouncing on this news. I'm bouncing on BJ's, right? So if BJ's has good news, which it has, it's a decent quarter, right? And we're going to buy in bulk, then maybe these bulk stocks hold up. Maybe that's something that we have to think about. So that's really where my head would be, focusing on it that way. That's where I would go with it. I don't know that I'd be shorting that into earnings. You have to realize something. Just because they drop doesn't mean they can't rally. Like, take a look at a firm. Like, I don't think anybody doesn't think a firm's possibly go out of business or be, drop even lower from here or retest 14. But earnings were earnings, and they were like, all we did was squeeze everybody and trade up, right? But where are you a week later, right? You're getting destroyed. You're going to get destroyed here. This is going to come in. It's going to take out the lows, just like it did here, right? Oh, we took in a low, but this time it's really going to run. Is it? And now you're back down, right? So it's just working its way down and turning. And that's how you have to look at it. It's no different than, what was the other one that everybody was looking at buying? It's time to buy Peloton, and then they come out and issue $750 million in debt. Where am I going with this? This can bounce, even though you're in a downtrend. So I have a really hard time telling you to be shorting something that's down $30 already on no news, just the news that Target sucks, right? I mean, that's why Costco's down. So I'm not so sure that people aren't buying in bulk. Maybe their habits have changed. Maybe people are going to BJ's and Costco instead of Target to buy in bulk. I'm not sure. Give me 1 second. Just wanted to grab a cold caffeinated drink. So looking at that and looking at BJ's and then looking at this bounce, I'm not so sure that I would short Costco here. What I might do is see if Costco can form a bar up and then go from there, right? See if I could get in the short before the earnings and then stay in it, maybe be short stock and maybe marry a call to it and stay in that way. That would be something that would interest me. I tried to do something very similar with ZIM and it didn't work, but I was trying to get up and in ZIM and buy it before earnings. And you can see what happened with earnings. You got right to that 50 and then you broke it. So, and that was a heck of a report. A heck of a report. I mean, ZIM had a great report. Look at these numbers they're earning. 14, 14, 14. I mean, think about this. If you earn 14, right? 12, right? 7, 5. Look at how these numbers are growing, right? Okay, so you're telling me if I just keep this run rate that I'm roughly trading at, 48, I'm going to earn $48 this year. I'm at 60. Like, how long is this going to stay depressed? And I'm not saying the growth is going to be that way forever because we know it's a shipper and it's feast or famine, but you see where my head is, right? So when you look at something like cost, I don't know, are you going to keep earning $3? Because if that's all you're going to earn right now, this is going to get smoked. But that doesn't mean that I can't bounce up first. So I'd wait for a bounce up before I'd even consider doing it, is where I'm going with that. So I hope that helps. What's going on, Oven? Yeah, I mean, this is pretty simple. I get shorting this. Here's your bear flag on your earnings. Here's you getting to the 50-day and rejecting. I have all these lines in here because I'm watching it. This needs to break. And it kind of did it yesterday. You broke the 50. You finally got below the 5. Just use a close above the 5 as your stop because that could get you back up to here. But yeah, that could absolutely roll. There's no, I doubt very highly that you're not going to test that level. I doubt very highly you're not testing that 140 level on ABBV. I just don't see how you wouldn't do that. I think that you're onto something there. Carson, Tesla, I did. Hopefully you saw it. I'm just going to keep rocking and rolling. If you didn't see it, let me know. I'll do it again. But I did do it. What's going on, boss? Hey, Ben. Para. Yeah, I keep getting asked about Para. It must be in a chat room somewhere. Yeah, I mean, there's your answer, right? So you right to the 50, rejected. I mean, this is a pretty easy short. Break 31.48 and just put the short on. You're in a downtrend. Right? You think that's going to stop going down? All that did was give you the opportunity to short it, and then you just use that as your stop. But you should fill that gap over the next course of the week or something like that. So just keep that in mind. This is Matt's asking. Matt, there'll be a link to try it for free. This is Trend Spider that I'm using right now. And there's a link in my bio in the description where you can try it for like 7 days or 20 days for free. I think that's an outright short, Ben. Carlos, we did EMPH. Let's do a firm. So, I mean, I think a firm's like, look, there's stages, right? 1, 2, 3. Maybe we're going to hold. No, we're not. 4. You're still in stage 4. Like, I look, I'm not going to tell you every stock I'm telling you is a zero, but who's going to want this? I mean, who needs to finance toothpaste? Do you know what I mean? Like, or who's buying a Peloton? Like when you go look at who their business really is, Amazon, Peloton, like 28% of their revenues is Peloton. Peloton's they're going to zero. It's a question of when, or does somebody buy them at like $4 or $8 like they bought? Look, a company can always get bought, right? But doesn't mean revenues are going to increase. Like look at what T-Doc bought. T-Doc bought that company and then wrote the whole company off billions of dollars 6 months later. So, you know, any fool can buy a company, so it can always happen. But if 28% of my revenues are coming from here, and I just had to issue $750 million in debt at 8% to pay off $50 million a year in interest payments now, $60 million almost. Do I really want to be that guy? No, I don't want to own that company. So I think that's definitely something to think about. So I like how we're bidding up here. How things are starting to bid up. It's going to mean that any rallies, again, you want to see rallies and then you want to short into those rallies. You don't want to be a buyer. What's going on, Z? Hey, what's up, Trade? Yeah, I mean, I don't see how you're not going lower. I just don't see it. I wish we weren't going lower. It's easier, and even in the trading room, it's easier for people to make money than instead of me like teaching them how to short and buy puts and the VIX. And you know, this is the one good thing I will tell everybody is you're getting a really good lesson right now on how to trade. You're getting a really good lesson on how to trade in a real market, in a bear market. So, which is good. Because when you come out of this, the amount of money it's going to be made is going to be staggering. So, morning, Ro. Yeah, I don't really care what Berkshire does. I mean, I like Oxy, the fact that he's buying it, but he might just step out of the way so it drops. Do you know what I mean? So this was our trade. We were up in it. Now you're not up in it anymore. You're pulling back. You know, probably get stopped out this morning. I think you could see a lot of stuff like that happen. So just keep that in mind. You know, everything's going to get hit. If one thing gets hit and we actually collapse, which I think we could have a big meltdown here, if that happens, I'd rather that it happens and we get it over with and kind of go from there. So, but I don't really care what they buy. I think they bought Oxy. Who cares? They bought Baba at 120. They added more to it. It's at 85. I mean, he's looking out 3 to 5 years at least. Are you looking out 3 to 5 years? Because if you're not, Keith, like you're not in this, you know what I mean? VHI. So you have to look at why people are buying what they're buying. Wow, I mean, that's on fire. I have no idea what this is. But that's on absolute fire. And you just keep breaking out. Ever since you broke that, like here, that was it, right? Wow, just kept on going. I'm not sure what space it's in, but it just looks great. There's nothing to do. Hey, Ryan. NVIDIA, I'm just going to caveat, I'm short. I have zero problem being short this. I mean, all we're doing is, bear flag, right? I mean, I don't see how we're not getting to 156. I just don't. Look, anything can happen. Okay, so take what I say with a grain of salt, but I don't see how you're not getting the 156. I just don't see it at all. So keep that in mind. You know what? I forgot to even talk about jobless numbers. I got so into everything else. Hold on. Let me just give them to you real quickly. Started rocking and rolling, Sean. I didn't even go through them. I mean, to me, they're completely irrelevant because people are going to focus on what's going on in the market. Yep, jobless claims, more people lost, more people filed than thought. 218 versus 200 was the estimate. So more people are filing for unemployment again. Continuing claims kicked up. So this idea of we're going to have massive employment and be in a recession is not looking likely. The most interesting thing was the Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index. You were looking for 16. You came in at 2.6%. So things are slowing. That's telling you things are slowing. So I think next quarter, GDP quarter versus quarter, I think you're going to have negative growth again. We covered Apple. I'll do it again. So I think that at this point, you just have to short any rally on it. I don't see how it's not breaking. I really don't. I don't see how you're going to hold this level. You almost have to break just to flush people out. So I just don't see any other way around it. I really don't. AMD, I mean, clear rejection. That doesn't get any clearer. Maybe you bounce back up and then you fall back down again. I don't know. The fact that you're above the 5 is good. This was one that people were in, and maybe they will buy again if we bounce. I would be leaning to try to play this again if we bounce, because you're still setting up, even though you came in, you still have this, right? Now you broke below it, but you still took out that higher high. You still took out the lower, right? So I like AMD if we start to at least, even if we went sideways. Yeah, TrendSpider tends to do that. They tend to devalue their product a lot. I'm surprised they do that. Like they constantly are running sale after sale after sale. So you can always try to get it cheaper. So I don't even know what I pay for it. I think I pay like $100 a month, but I have everything. Did we cover Apple? We did. AMD is above the 5-day. What's going on, Steven? I'd watch VTNR. Those kinds of names would scare me right now. Like, so we had a good trade in it yesterday where you could have made like the buck, right? That's it. I'd watch that doji. And if I broke the low of that doji, 1461, I'd be gone. KSS could just be the next dumpster fire here. Watch that 42.29 level today. You break that, I expect you to be in the mid 30s in no time. I don't see any reason why some of these stocks can't get to these peaks and lows that we were at pre-pandemic and even get worse. So I don't see any reason that can't happen. Knee, yeah, that could work. I like this name. You're kind of beaten up down here. Utility company. I like it. I think if you're looking long term, you can get back to 80. I would be looking at this on any kind of pullback, but you're already rejecting. So, yeah, please like the video. It helps me with the algorithm. There's 130 people in the room. Likes are free. Just helps me with the algorithm and helps support the channel. This is good. Great question, Travis. What is the VIX telling us right now? Seems to be too low to indicate a bottom. Yeah, it is. It is too low. And what's troubling about the VIX is this. This is what's really troubling. Right? Now we're up today. Oh, hold on, that's wrong. That's the wrong one. That is the, I think. So you're up today, but you're constantly hitting lower lows on the VIX as we're dropping. Like, that's okay after a huge spike up like this, but the level of complacency here is staggering. Yep. Yeah, puts will save you right now. So, yep, please like the video. Thanks. What's going on, got him? BBIG, sure. Of course. You just got to stay away from it. I mean, it's not something I would buy. Maybe if I got over this level, maybe if I got over that doji, maybe you could buy it. Other than that, it's probably is just a zero. You know, I mean, that's all this thing's going to do is just trade back down to 1 at some point. It's not something I would go near. You're down 12% today. I mean, if you're long, just get out there. Anytime, my friend. Welcome, Matt. Have a good day, brother. Good morning. Opinion on SE after earnings. We're looking at shorting. There's somebody in the room, in the trading room, looking at shorting it. I think they're right. You know, I know people get upset with me. We have a lot of people in the room that are from, not a lot, but we have about, I'd say 5% of the rooms either in Malaysia or Singapore. And they love the company. Like, they love this company. And they're always talking about it. But that's not really, you know, you don't want to keep losing money in this environment. People aren't going to tolerate that. So I think it's realistic to see this start to roll back down. This is a very simple short, right? I mean, you know, this is a really very simple short position to put on and just leave on and see if you get back down to 50 in like a week or two. And if not, you just close it. But I mean, no one's going to buy them and you're bleeding money. No one's going to want to own a company that's bleeding money. So you can see what happened after it broke that 50 back to the 50, right? So, so I would be short that. What's going on, Ben? No, it doesn't matter to me one bit. I could care less what the PE is. So, right, I care about the growth. What's the growth? Is it growing? Doesn't look to me like it's growing. Looks like it's decreasing. So, right, so maybe it's turned it around now. I don't know, but that doesn't mean anything to me. A PE of 5. Look at the PEs of Toll Brothers right now. You know what I mean? Like, go look at Toll Brothers and tell me the PE. Yep, please. Thanks, Di. Appreciate it. What's going on, Leo? What are the moving average indicators you use for SPX? Look, if you want to learn real quick, I did a whole thing on this. There's a whole video on this. Just go price action strategy off a 2-minute chart. I walk you through exactly how to trade something like that. Like, you can just use exactly what I just explained in that one video. I think that's what it's called, price action trading or something along those lines. But I literally give you a sheet to use and everything. And I would use exactly what's there. It's too much for me to even go into right now, frankly, but that's what I would use. I don't know how I just got this. Let me just go do it this way, but that's exactly what I would use. At a minimum, you have to be using VWAP. At a minimum, you have to use VWAP and RSI. All right, I got to jump. I'm going to get going here. MRNA is a 0 because I say everything's a 0. I don't know, man. I wouldn't be buying these. I would not be bottom fishing these companies. Are they going to be around? Yeah, they're going to be around. They're going to earn a ton of money and they're going to be around. At what level, I have no idea, but they're going to be around. But this is not something that I would be buying. Maybe over the 50-day, maybe, but that's it. All right, I got to jump, everybody. Have a good day. Yeah, give it time. It's early, B.